So, what have we learned in this sharing circle that each of us wants to take forward into our lives?
Yeah, I'm happy to speak first to that. I feel just coming out of the Grail experience from the weekend, and we made reference to the team intention. I have had a very direct first-hand experience of the great power of consciously calling in ease and grace with things that might appear difficult, hard, challenging, stressful. And that is a beautiful metaphor or direction for my life, to see that in big choices and in big and everyday life, I can call in and create ease and grace, regardless of what's happening in my life. And even when I'm having to make what feel like big decisions. Yeah, so that's my takeaway today.
Thanks, Steve. I have a couple of things today. One is the recognition of a capacity to distinguish between a message coming in, which is created by my mind. So it's a thought or an idea that's created internally in my head, and another message that comes from somewhere else, which has a different flavor and a different energy, and I'm going to label intuition or message from spirit or something along those lines, and how that for me is being in the flow. And the other message is ego-driven. It's about what my mind wants or desires. And the point is not to go into a story about the difference there, but to acknowledge a growing capacity in me to distinguish between those two messages. So I can see my mind giving me instructions that I need to do blah, blah, blah. And yeah, okay, that will satisfy all these external issues. And the being in the flow, and what does my heart tell me? What is my body saying to me? What is the message from the universe? Is something different. And that is ultimately my choice, and how that process unfolded just in the last few days. Yeah, and I was sitting in the recognition of that growing capacity to discriminate between those two strains of input. And the other piece for me is the value of no, that in two contexts. One is as a man enrolling potential participants in a Grail, that when I get a clear no, it clears the field to go, oh, okay, on to the next person. Thanks for your time. And not that that's any better or to compare it with a yes or a maybe or a plan, but just to acknowledge that in the no, there is a clearing, there is a clear, there's some clarity in the man and in me and in my own life. When someone, again, it's entwined with this recent decision-making process, that here's an invitation to come and attend this event, and my answer is, thank you, no. And that no comes from a place of self-care, comes from a place of acknowledging that being in the flow and listening to my heart says, thank you, no. So yeah, the value of no, and that it isn't a negative value, it's a positive, useful value, and my capacity to discriminate between ego and spirit. Yoo-hoo! That's me for today. Thank you, man.
Yeah, I'll go. My takeaways from this meeting and from the Grail that I just attended is that the mind doesn't need to understand everything, doesn't even need to know everything, doesn't even need to know what's going on. And the impact of that is huge. Even on me, just not remembering what happened, but knowing that it happened, and knowing what happened, but not how it happened, is huge for me. Because I'm naturally a person who needs to know how everything works. And probably the best thing that happened to me over this last weekend, I have no idea what happened or how it happened, but I know it worked. And I'm not going to pursue the understanding of it, because I'm reveling in the joy of it happening and knowing that it was good and knowing that there was love in there, and there was the holding. It was beautiful. So yeah, and that is huge for me. So I'll take that. I'll take that any day. Hope.
Well, what's coming for me is listening for the little voice that may say, you might want to call this guy, or you may want to do that, or this is doing the right thing in the moment. That to me is self-integrity. That in the end, those impulses come from me, whether they come through me or God speaks through, whatever blah, blah, blah words I want to put around the role is not a role at all. It's just being in integrity with myself. And, the power of thank you, no is a self-care mechanism, or not wanting to give excuses, not giving a shit about what somebody else thinks of my choices in my life. The value of my self-integrity is all the value I really have. And if it tells me that I need to be the one to call somebody and hold them in what they're in, fine, I'll do that. If I need to tell somebody, nope, I'm not coming to that because, I'm okay with that too. But it's got to come from the little voice. It can't come, reference to your words, Jeremy, the ego input, the mind input, it can't be the driver of me doing that. Can't be, I don't want to do things because I convince myself that's the right thing to do, or it's the responsible thing to do. It's the right thing to do because it's coming from the little voice back here that says, pick up the phone, or do this, or say no to that. So I'm realizing after our talk the value of listening to the tiny voice from the back of me, and not from my mental, there's a boss of mine used to call it intellectual flatulence. The mind story isn't what I need to listen to. It's the small voice, the soft voice. That's me tonight.